I don't even know how to put this into words. I don't want to cry. That's like really what I wanted. This is the most vulnerable video I've ever made, so please don't be mean to me. When I was about 5 years old, my parents divorced, and from then forward until really a few years ago, my mom really battled with alcohol, and so because of that, I really had to become more, I don't want to say more of like a parent, but I really had to step into certain roles in the home to, you know, kind of make up for what was lacking. I've never really shared a lot of this because I don't ever want anyone to think that I'm like, you know, woe is me. But I do see comments or DMs that I get from people sometimes, and they just the things that they say, they assume I grew up in this, I don't know, privileged life or privileged home. I just see people put a lot of misconceptions on other people, or like they project things onto people because they want to assume they like grew up a certain way. If I wanted to go to university, which I did, I have my law degree, I had to work so hard to get good grades, to get scholarships, because there was no RESP, because that's what we have for Lily. There were no savings for me. I bought my first car for $3,000 with money that I earned from my job that I started when I was 15 years old. Literally the day I turned 15, which was the legal age to get a job in Saskatchewan, I started working, and all of this has helped shape me into who I am today. There's so much that people don't see and maybe don't need to see, right? Like, I don't think we need to share everything with the world. I just think that there's sometimes that I'm like, I wish people really knew, you know, I wish that they really knew certain things. And I felt like that when I was a teenager as well, or even younger. Like, I worked so hard to get some of the scholarships that I did and some of the awards that I did. And if you know some of my journey, we lost our home to a house fire when I was just 16 years old. The Red Cross helped us out a bunch. I then applied for this Miss Teen Saskatchewan, which I won, but I entered, like when I entered Miss Teen Saskatchewan, I used my tax return from working to pay for my entry to Miss Teen Saskatchewan. To go to Miss Teen Canada, which I then was very fortunate to win, I got sponsors from my hometown of Moose Jaw. Every opportunity I sought out and then found a way to make it happen. And maybe there's some kind of, people could say there's too much like hyper independence or whatever with that, which has definitely followed me into adulthood. But I also am grateful for a lot of that because it gave me the work ethic that I have today. But my reason for sharing that is that there's a lot of times I think people try to be like, oh, must be nice, must be easy for them. And my gosh, I even remember hearing that when I was younger, like, oh yeah, like must be nice, or like, oh yeah, like your parents must be so proud. And like my mom sometimes maybe didn't even know what award I was getting. And things have changed now. It's different now for the past few years, but one of the things that has shocked me the most about becoming a parent, I have 2 kids who are 6 and 2. As they continue to get older, I am still shocked and amazed at how much time I spend cleaning and organizing and cleaning and reorganizing and re-cleaning the same things over and over and over again. I, especially lately, have really struggled with feeling like I'm just constantly cleaning. I think to myself, do I need to like hire someone to help me organize this stuff so it's not as chaotic? I really try to live by that whole everything has a place and everything in its place. Obviously, my battle with this is I don't want my kids to feel like I'm constantly trying to control what they're doing. Don't get me wrong, we always have, you know, a fort set up. Right now, the bonus room, I'll show you because I'm gonna go in there. It's set up with like an air mattress and like, there's blankets on the blinds and it's kind of chaotic, but it's been like that for I think a week now. And so we always do fun stuff like that. I just then, when that's set up, my daughter has a slime shop set up at our dining table. When there's constantly stuff everywhere, there's suitcases here, I just get so overstimulated. I feel, I guess, out of control of everything that's happening, which I know is a really common thing for women when they become mothers because there's so much that's out of our control in parenting. If we're gonna be up all night with the baby, the kids get sick and they have to be home from school and we're supposed to be working, there's so much. That is also another shocking thing of parenting. There's so much that's out of your control that then things that can be in your control, you feel almost more responsibility for. But I've been thinking a lot more about all this. We were just away for a few days and my husband said that I was noticeably happier and more calm because I wasn't worrying about laundry, I wasn't worrying about cleaning up the kitchen, wasn't worrying about making lunches or what things I needed to add to the grocery list. Really, a lot of the weight of motherhood is all of these tasks that actually have nothing to do with the actual parenting and like interacting with the kids. It's all the things surrounding that help the machine go, the house go, help everyone get to where they need to be. I've been thinking so much more about this because I'm like, what can I I do? What can I do that makes me feel like I am not so overwhelmed by all of these tasks? And I tried to get to thinking about why I feel this way. We just had it wasn't necessarily because of their divorce that our childhood was chaotic, but like we moved a lot, and big thing that I've realized has impacted me now is our home was always a disorganized, chaotic. And I loved the show Clean Sweep on TLC. I loved organizing my room, and I would organize my mom's closet when I was 7, 8 years old. I did laundry when I was 6, 7, 8 years old. I'd get my brother out for school, get his cereal when I was honestly like in grade 1, so 6, 7 years old. So I was always trying to bring the calm and the organization where I didn't feel it. And I honestly didn't think much about this until I'm in the position I'm in now, a parent of 2 kids, because it didn't really impact me in my late teens. Like the chaos was impacting me, but not in the way, I don't even know how to put this into words. When I was in university, for example, I lived on my own. So like I have one dish and a fork to clean it up, done. None of that to me was challenging. Living on my own was way easier. Moving for university and stuff was way easier. It was such an easy transition for me because I had already been doing that for like more than myself for so many years. I just like couldn't wait for that freedom. So I never had to worry about like the organizing and reorganizing because I was already organized myself. Fast forward, so that has to be something. And then when I met my husband, we moved. I just recounted because I was like, what was the number again? We moved 13 times in a matter of like 3 years. 3 and a bit years. 12 times we moved within 3 years, and then the 13th time there was like a almost 2-year gap between that whole stint of moving. It was honestly traumatizing for me because it brought up so much from the past, and then all of those 2 kind of big things together is impacting me so much now. Because when you move, you never know how much stuff you have until you have to move. And you're like, where did all this stuff come from? And you would think that moving so much, we would thin out all of the extras, but we just seem to keep collecting it. There's a lot of reasons for why we moved. I guess if you're curious, let me know and I can share another video about that. I finished my law degree in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, moved out to be with my husband in Nova Scotia, Halifax, Nova Scotia. He was finishing dental school, so my daughter was born there. But when I moved out there, I showed up at his apartment and he hadn't packed anything, so I had to pack his whole apartment. So I really feel like we've like gotten past that now. Looking back, I'm like, what? It's all good now. That was over 6 years ago. But I feel like in that moment, so that was, yes, about approximately 7 years ago now, just over 7 years ago right now, everything from my past was kind of brought up to, okay, I lived a lot of my life having to organize and try to bring the organization and that home, calm in the home a lot of my life. And now, I'm showing up and having to pack this whole apartment that I didn't live in. And is this just kind of like a continuation in a different way of having to be that rock of the home? I don't know the right words. From that moment forward, I have really felt like I'm always trying to organize and reorganize, especially moving 13 times. You can imagine there's just some stuff that hasn't been unpacked, or it's been like packed and repacked 13 times. And so part of that is that now when I go into our garage and it's still kind of chaotic, I see these boxes of stuff and even things around that I've packed and repacked 13 times. That is like annoying in itself. And then the idea of this, honestly, I thought about this today. Growing up, I never was like, oh, I want to live in a multi-million-dollar home with like a pool. Honestly, my dream, I don't want to cry. My dream growing up, for whatever it looked like I never knew if I would get married or have kids. My dream for my home life was for it to just be organized and just feel like you come home and you can just enjoy your home. That's like really what I wanted. And so I think that now I struggle so much because I'm constantly battling that disorganization, but it's really obviously something more But I'm like, there's got to be a way, you know, there's got to be a way, whether it's less stuff. I feel like we've donated and given away truckloads of stuff, but clearly we need to get rid of more. But it brings up so much from the past. Obviously I need to get a therapist, but also just like finding a system, because I think as well, one thing with parenting that you're always navigating is the systems are always changing. When you have a newborn, you're not dealing with the clutter of toys. You have these big baby items, you know, you have a swing, maybe you have your pumping stuff, you're constantly nursing or you're constantly feeding, like bottle feeding, whatever your journey is. And so there's all that kind of clutter or stuff. You're doing laundry. It's like this different, then it gets into the play chaos, which I'm in right now, of a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old, where there's just toys everywhere. It's like maybe we need less toys, maybe we need designated areas for the toys, and maybe that just the systems change. And I've shared this before on my TikTok and Instagram that I have found when you have like a certain system, like maybe you rotate your toys, you know, you have a couple of bins that you put in your storage area or your furnace room, and you just like circulate those toys. I love that idea in theory. It's been really hard for me to execute it because probably just from moving 13 times in a few years, it's been really hard for me to get a rhythm going. And we've always, this home that we're in now, we completely renovated it. This room that you see, this was like a, was it like a brownish taupish color? This wall was like a yellow Beauty and the Beast inspired wallpaper. If you've seen any of our stuff, any of our like home transformation on my Instagram and TikTok, like we renovated everything. So that's a journey, that's a whole thing too. It's like, I just want this home to be what we want it to be. So it's like the battling of the parent life, organizing, apparently all this past stuff that I'm now like, it's now coming up that I'm in trying to figure out why I get so overwhelmed. I've also read a lot of things that women are like, we have raised cortisol in disorganization and chaos, whereas men are like, yeah, whatever. Because I talk to my husband about this all the time. I'm like, why? Like, I wish I didn't care. Like, I wish I didn't mind that there are boxes and stuff everywhere, but it drives me insane. And he's like, I don't know, like, I guess like guys just don't like get whatever about it. And the yard, I look, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to mow the lawn, I need to like pull these weeds. I think there's just so much that comes at you. And then if you're also all this stuff from the past, you know, it's just a lot. It's just a lot. And so my point of the renovation, I don't even know. There's just always projects that we're working on. I painted the whole house. It was a very expensive renovation, but we tried to cut costs where we could. So I did a lot of the painting. And so I just like look around and there's always that stuff to do as well. Anyways, my point of sharing all this is that I feel alone in this a lot of times, but I know that I can't be the only one. And I know that ultimately, of course I want an organized home, but ultimately I want my kids to have the best childhood experience that they can and that I can give them. And I don't ever want people to also think that I'm putting the cleaning and organizing above their needs, because I'm not. It's just there. And I will also say, like, I love my job. I have like such an amazing job. I get to create content here on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram. It is a job though, like, that I have to, you know, think of ideas. I have to edit videos. I have to make sure I'm putting in key messaging when there's an ad that I'm doing with a brand that I love. It is a lot more work than it seems from the outside, but I love it. But that, I have a job outside of motherhood and outside of maintaining the home. And so when there's days like today, like I'm recording right now, the kids are at school, so that's why I can chat with you without interruption. Then I have to fight that balance between, do I do a lot of the housework now so that I don't have to do it later and the kids and I can cook dinner together and we can play and have fun, or do I really focus on working and like building my career and then leave the housework for later? I think that's another thing that women, I know people will comment on my TikTok and Instagram if I ever say mother or mom or moms are dealing with this. In my now 6 years as a mom, a lot of times, I know it's not always, but a lot of times it is the moms who are doing the housework and the grocery shopping and organizing who's gonna pick up their child from dancing and drive the other one to hockey. We do a lot of the logistics and a lot of the home life planning. That just seems to be the way that it is a lot of times. I know it isn't always the case, but there's just so many different hats and loads of motherhood, and you're then like, okay, I also want to make sure the childhood experience for my kids is top notch and the best it can be. And so what I want for my kids is to not feel overwhelmed by the home. I don't want them to feel like, okay, I have nowhere to put my bag, or oh, like there's no snacks there. Why are there boxes everywhere? They've never said that stuff to me, maybe because I try to be as organized as I can, but I don't want them to have some of those experiences that I had that I feel like have obviously impacted me to this day, all these years later. I don't want that for them. And so that is something that is hard as well, is trying to like, okay, do these household tasks before they're home or when they're at their activities. But then of course, if you're spending that much time doing all the house stuff, it can take away from your career if you're also trying to build your career. So I'm gonna leave it at that for the moment. But if anyone else feels like this, you're not alone. We're in this together, trying to learn and navigate all the changes and all of the craziness that comes with parenting. Like I said earlier, it's always changing. The dynamics are always changing. As they grow older, they become more independent, but there's more of that driving and logistics planning the logistics of activities and school and all of that stuff. There's so much more of that. So I feel like some things get easier and some things get harder as they get older. And ultimately, I think we're all just doing our best. As I keep telling myself, I am doing the best that I can. And I know that sometimes it feels like they don't care. If you're like me, I'm like, I'm doing all of this and nobody cares. Nobody cares. But they do. And I think it shows up. I really think if you feel like, am I doing the best job? Is there something I could be doing better or differently to give them a better experience as a kid? Then you're doing a great job. Because when you don't think about those things, obviously the priorities are somewhere else. So I really believe if you wonder and think if you're doing a good job, you're probably doing an absolutely amazing, exceptional job. If you've ever felt like any of what I just shared, please let me know. Feel free to comment below or DM me on Instagram. And let's get started with this organizing the chaos that has unfolded the last few days. Well, I'm getting there with this organizing reset. It's taken me about 2 hours so far, which is part of what I was sharing, that I'm shocked by how much time it takes to just like reset everything, gather the garbage, take out the green bin stuff, do the dishes, clean the dog dishes, vacuum, reorganize the toys, do the laundry. But I'm getting there, literally sweating. I really feel like one of the things is getting rid of some of the stuff. I have felt like with every load of stuff we either donate or sell, feels a bit lighter. But then of course, you know, new toys come in. Lily had a birthday party, so she got gifts from her friends, which is so fabulous, and that is totally part of life. But I really feel like another organizing strategy that I love is the whole like one thing in, one thing out. For my closet, I've actually almost always maintained that. Okay, a new thing in, another thing out. Unless you have a huge closet or something, and even storage space. So I don't want to be somebody who needs to have a storage unit for all the overwhelming amount of stuff that we have. So I don't know if you have tips and tricks on how you find flow in the home, because once again, I know that people will say you just need to like let it go. You just need to be okay with the disorganization. And I totally know where people are coming from. I just feel like our lives are so busy and we're always running from dancing to school to an event to something, that if things are disorganized, all of that getting ready, all of that living life takes longer, or we can't find things. So I know some of it is definitely just like sharing this and feeling connected with anyone else who has felt this way, and also getting some tips and tricks from you on organizing and finding a flow. And maybe it's just less stuff. Please let me know what you think and if you've started to navigate this, because I will say the kids' rooms, our room, a few other spaces in the home that are not overwhelmed with stuff are very easy to maintain. Other little things I've started to do, and if you want me to, I'll share some of the things I've started to do. Every single week, Lily comes home with a pile like this or bigger. Sometimes this is like a day of stuff from school, coloring, all that kind of thing. So what I've done for this is I've created 2 bins, one for each child. One says Ivor, one says Lily. They decorated it. I can show you if you want. And I put all of their stuff from Ivor's in preschool, so preschool, kindergarten, and just save, you know, some of the stuff and not everything. Don't tell Lily, because it's impossible to save all of it, but piles like this pile up constantly. Please share your tips with me. I will share this journey with you as well. So much work to do in our storage room, the basement, the garage, so I will share that with you and how that goes. Let me know your tips and tricks and I will start to share more of this with you. As always, feel free to hit subscribe if you want to be part of this journey, and I always appreciate all of your support, from hitting subscribe, hitting like, commenting below. It really means so much to me, and I feel like when you feel like you're part of this community, I feel like I'm part of this community with you. It really makes us feel less alone.